Welcome back, Lelanders, to a new episode of the Magi Show Special News Edition. I don't even know what to call this show. It's actually pretty much a New Year's show that took a horrible turn for the worse. I don't know, I'd briefly heard that one of the Miss USA pageants winners had died, and I didn't really think much of it because I don't follow the pageants, and I was thinking maybe it was just like another drug and alcohol abuse thing, and things got out of control. And then, man, today was New Year's, or the Chinese New Year, and I started to think to myself, I'm like, geez, the Chinese New Year last year was the year of the metal ox, which according to the ancient Orion symbology is the year of sacrifice, because there's this Orion ritual in the sky which demonstrates a sacrifice that was required for the entire universe to be created. Sort of like the A to Z, or the Alpha to the Omega, the giant sacrifice ritual in the sky that actually, the night sky, demonstrates like heaven and all the different ancient legends or religions. They're all based on that same area of the sky. Even First Nations people, Asian people, Aztec people, Egyptian people, you name it. Any ancient people, they were always focusing on that Orion man. Now obviously, some different cultures had different names for them. So I guess what we're going to get to today is, sadly, when I heard about her death, I didn't really think much of it, but then as the day progressed here, I was like, shit, man. Because she died so close to the end of the year, I don't know if it was the last day or the second last day, and part of me was thinking, I'm like, dear God, man, the year of sacrifice is quickly wrapping up. We haven't actually seen some big sacrifice to end the year. So I was like, Jesus, I sure hope there isn't some horrible sacrifice that's going to occur. And I was thinking maybe it was something to do with like the protest situations on the planet. Canada's got the convoys going, so I was a little bit worried that something was going to happen there. And yeah, because Ottawa is also on a sacrifice line, but not the sacrifice line. So if anyone wants to jump into the archive, the actual last guest I had on the show, we talked all about the September 11th ley line and how it was related to sacrifice. So right away when I heard, oh shit, man, this woman, poor woman, rest in peace, God bless her and her family and friends. I know I actually lost my best friend to suicide, so this is a very difficult subject for me to discuss. And just to say out of respect to the family and stuff, I'm not going to make this out to be some giant conspiracy. I'm going to try to look at both aspects of it. If it could have been some sort of weird sacrifice, but we'll also look at the reasons why it probably wasn't a sacrifice, and the official story is probably correct here. But just in case it isn't, we're going to look at some of this stuff, and it kind of freaked me out. So that's basically why I decided to make this episode, because I figured, man, I can't know this stuff and not share it with people because it's not right. So I don't know if anyone's thinking about making super chats today. I really should have just turned it off, but I was thinking if anyone wants to donate, if they want to donate to the suicide crisis line, I would actually much prefer that rather than giving me any money in today's episode. Because to be honest, it would probably make me sick if someone did give me money. I really should have turned that off. So, but anyway, so we'll continue. And yeah, this is a picture of her. I couldn't find any free pictures of her because everything was copyrighted except for this one. I'm not sure why exactly. I think this is something to do about her, what was it? She had a lawyer career. Let's bring up some of the information about her background. See, this is the weirdest thing. Like the one part, well, before we get into that, let's show the September 11th ley line. And yeah, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. I read the article and I was thinking about like the Orion sacrifice coming up at the end of the year, and boom, she's dead. And I was like, fuck, man. Hopefully this doesn't relate to Orion in any way. So guess what happened? I happened to read the story. We'll bring up the story here. This one's a CNN article, and I guess I won't bother putting CNN stuff on the screen, but I'll read it here to you. Oh, man, so this woman, I'm not even sure how to pronounce her name. I've never actually heard it read aloud before. I think it's Cheslie Kryst. Well, anyways, I'll try to just go by her last name because I think I could pronounce that better. Miss Kryst was an attorney who sought to help reform in America's justice system, as well as a fashion blogger, entertainment news correspondent, and was crowned Miss USA in 2019. So I was thinking, okay, nothing suspicious here. Let's just keep reading, see what happens. All right, so anyone wants to know the National Suicide Prevention Line, 1-800-273-8255. And if anyone's able to donate money to suicide causes for this show, I'd be greatly appreciated. I'm sure her family and friends would appreciate it as well. So anyways, we'll finish reading how she died. It says that she died, sadly, very sadly, tragically, after jumping from a building in Manhattan, police said. The New York City office and chief medical examiner confirmed to CNN that she died by suicide and had multiple blunt impact injuries. Dear God. Alright, so as I'm reading this article, I can see, let me just put it in here, see if CNN actually leaked the most pertinent information about this. Let's see, find Orion. No, so CNN did not include it in their story. I'm not surprised at all. When I was reading the article, I didn't read CNN's first, I was reading other articles. So it's kind of interesting to see if CNN would actually tell the truth, and no. So CNN was able to tell people that she died jumping from a building, but they didn't specify which building. And that's of huge importance here. It could be the biggest clue to what happened. So anyways, as I was reading the other articles, they mentioned that the building she jumped from, which I was very suspicious already because they said New York, I was like, oh fuck, is that the sacrifice line? So anyways, what they said, guess what building she jumped from? Very sadly. Allegedly. Turns out she jumped from the Orion condominium. Orion. So there we go. The Orion ritual, the sacrifice. She happened to die jumping from the building named after the ritual of sacrifice. And that happened to be on the day of sacrifice, the last day of the year of sacrifice. So, fuck, man. So here we got the line that our guest talked about before. It goes from Stonehenge all the way to one of the Mexico ritual sacrifice spots. So you got this line of like ancient sacrifice. And it doesn't really make any sense, like Stonehenge, ancient Aztecs or whatever. What the fuck? How the hell does this have anything to do with sacrifice on this line? Check out what else falls on this line. Boston. So people are going to wonder, like, why does this line fall on so many major cities? We'll get to that in a second. So anyways, Boston, where does this line happen to go? Boston Airport. So this Boston Airport is where the planes were kidnapped for the September 11th attacks by the hijackers. Apparently. It's like, or allegedly. I don't even think we ever concluded the investigation into September 11th, so I don't know what the official story is now. I think they said that they were going to do an investigation, and then they tried one. A lot of people said it was bullshit, and then they just never did another one. So I don't know. September 11th, long time ago. So anyways, you come down the airport from September 11th, and from Boston, goes through Bridgeport, and then eventually you end up right in New York. And where does it happen to fall in New York? Right on the World Trade Center site. So where the old trade centers used to be, I'm not even sure exactly where it is on this map, but... And then the other things I noticed too is the Statue of Liberty roughly falls on the line, especially if you zoom out a bit. And technically this line is supposed to be very wide, but I don't put it very wide on my map, so if you're wondering why the locations aren't falling directly on it and just slightly over, this line is apparently, I forget how many miles wide, but it is supposed to be pretty wide. So anyways, here's the Orion condominium. So you're looking at, like, as soon as you zoom out here, this is literally falling directly on the sacrifice line, the Orion condominium. Then you got Philly, then you got Baltimore, then you got Washington. What is Washington? That's the Pentagon, where the Pentagon was hit by the planes in the attack. Then you got Charlottesville. I think there was some horrible tragedy that occurred in Charlottesville. I can't even think of it right now. Maybe we talked about it on the last show. Bedford. See where else? Where else do we got on this line? Oh, not far off Athens. Here is the big one. Mobile, Alabama. Is it in Alabama? I don't even know. Yeah, it is. Mobile, Alabama. And Atlanta. But anyways, Mobile, Alabama, if anyone hasn't heard about the big hurricane crisis, what happened is they didn't repair the levees in Mobile for unknown reasons why they didn't repair them. But then a huge disaster occurred and killed a whole shitload of people. So, Mobile, Alabama, you definitely fell on the sacrifice line as well. Alright, so what should we cover next? We covered the CNN article. Oh yeah, and then Miss Kryst was also not only the crown of Miss USA, but she was also like the leftist spokesperson for like the woke agendas. So she was pretty much like their poster child. And if anyone doesn't know the leftist movement, but they're not very much on like cherishing human life. Like if you look at a lot of the leftist causes, they're into killing babies and a whole bunch of weird stuff about not respecting human life whatsoever. So the idea that the leftists could turn on each other is not really that outrageous of a possibility. So not to get too conspiratorial, but the idea that there's something fishy going on here, there's starting to be a lot of red flags coming up. Right, so speaking of red flags, I guess I'll get into some more of like my own experience, sadly, when it comes to suicide. My best friend actually committed suicide in 2007. So I actually have a very, very extensive expertise on what someone's behavior is like as they're leading up to committing suicide. So, and then I noticed it too, like it's not just my friend that died. When I read stories about how other people committed suicide, I start to see a lot of repeating patterns. So I was like, it's like a pattern behavior. That's why they tell you to watch out for certain things. If you see your friends or your family doing these things, then you're like, hey, shit, man, someone should talk to this person, make sure they're not on the verge of suicide. So one of the things that I noticed about people on the verge of suicide, my friend included, is usually they're very shy and don't want their pictures taken. I'm not sure why exactly. I think in my friend's case, he was very like, I guess I should even bring up, who was it, one of the Tutu brothers that used to play in the NHL. Same thing when he committed suicide. Is what happened to him is he was a famous hockey player, and he had the entire First Nations community in Canada, maybe even North America, looking up to him because, yeah, he was one of the greatest hockey players, First Nations background. He's a great guy, so a huge role model. And sadly, he had a bit of a drinking problem. So I think what happened is he got busted for drinking and driving, and it hit him really hard. Like, I don't know if anyone's got busted by the cops from something, or they've seen other people get busted. A lot of people, when they get busted, they actually get mental breakdowns. So that's what I was thinking, like when Tutu had that horrible problem where all of a sudden he got busted for drinking and driving, he couldn't handle the fact that he was such a spokesperson and he let everyone down that counted on him. So I don't know if something happened with Miss Kryst in the past few weeks where some horrible tragedy, like her father was on the news and was saying that she's not a drinker and she's not a drug user. So people that think that was the reason for her suicide can rule it out. So right there, it's like, I don't think she would have let anyone down over that sort of thing. Like, I believe what her dad said, and which is weird too. I was reading the articles, they say that she was like the first black woman or was the first time where does it say? They were bragging how about when it came time to her accomplishments, it was that the Miss Teen USA, Miss Universe, and Miss USA were all black women in the same year, which I thought, wow, that's a great accomplishment. But then I was thinking, it sounds kind of weird. Like, why do they always make it about race, right? But then I found out when I was reading the article that her dad is actually white. So technically she isn't black, she's half, right? So I don't know. I always thought that was weird right off the bat. Like, she was the black spokesperson, yet she's not technically black. She's half, right? So I don't know if that was part of the big letdown. I don't know. A lot of people maybe thought she was 100% black, and then she turned out she was actually half white. Let a whole bunch of people down. I noticed that a lot of cases. When I meet, not all, but a few of my friends and family, or not family, friends that are like half either black, white, half Indian or white, half First Nations and white. In a lot of cases, each one of these people are often offended to admit that they're half white. I think it's because there's like that white guilt that goes around in social media a lot. And people are like, yeah, even if they're half white, they're like ashamed of it. It's like, I know this one girl, she's a singer, and she'll go on and on stage about all her different family from different areas, like in Africa and stuff. But as soon as it comes to mentioning that half of her family is from like, what is it, Ireland or I forget, Scotland or Ireland or something, all of a sudden she never mentions that. It's like she's ashamed of it. I almost feel like asking her sometimes. I'm like, why do you always tell people your entire background, but you ignore the white half of your family? Seems like you're ashamed of it or something. But anyways, so I don't know, not to say that that was the cause for her death, but it does seem like a repeating pattern that I've seen many times before. Oh yeah, and the other thing that I noticed about someone who's about to commit suicide is they usually don't make long-term plans. Like they'll sell everything they own just to get quick spending money and blow it all, as if they're like not really planning for the future. The same thing with not wanting to take photographs. It's like they almost don't want people to be ashamed of what they did, so they don't even pose for photographs. They like try to stay hidden in life as much as they can because they feel like they're going to be gone soon anyways, and they don't want to leave like a whole bunch of sad reminders for people, so they try not to take pictures. So I thought that was very weird about this model and how she died. Well, I guess being a model, she'd be forced to take pictures, but then there's the other part of this. Like when my friend committed suicide, he wasn't working on a whole bunch of projects. He was basically just like partying hardcore all the time and like blowing all of his cash, not planning for the future. So when we look at, Cheslie's behavior, it's actually quite the opposite, which is very stunning to me. This is what set off the red flags for me as well. All right, so let's bring up some of her social media pages. Oh God, man, it's so sad. All right, so yeah, she was incredibly beautiful. And it was weird too, when I was looking at her pictures from like the contest when she won Miss USA, I thought she was kind of average at best. But man, some of the pictures she takes, holy crap, man. I can see why she won. She is was totally smoking. Oh, so sad, man. But anyways, her social media page was just like flooded with active activity. Like she's like, I'm just starting a new YouTube channel. I'm looking forward to the new year. I got all these plans. And I was thinking, dear God, man, this really doesn't sound like someone who's like on the verge of committing suicide in a day or two, right? Making all these long-term plans, showing off what they have planned for the year. Now, not to say that it isn't suicide, but dear God, man, something isn't adding up here, right? I guess that you could say in the argument, like for her family's sake, that a lot of times people that are depressed hide it really good. Although my friend who was depressed didn't really hide it very good. I just didn't think he was serious. I thought, like, you know, sometimes guys, like, they joke around about stuff. I always thought he was joking. But no, he was actually really depressed. Alright, so, yeah, so sadly, her social media is just exploding with activity, and she was so happy to be planning for the future. So that was really fucked up, man. Not to say that it was, but anyways, yeah, she was even telling people that she just started a new YouTube page, and she was sharing it, trying to get as many people to sign up as she could. Now, someone could argue and say because she started this page and it didn't explode with millions of viewers, maybe that caused some depression. You know, some people get depressed when they try to be popular on social media and they fail. So let's just check it out. So she did actually have a new YouTube page. And yeah, she was putting up some new videos. She even had a video just 5 days ago. So isn't that kind of fucked up? Like, if you're planning on committing suicide, why would you be putting YouTube videos up on your channel like days before it occurs, right? So, devil's advocate, you could say the reason she was doing this and it wasn't getting very popular, so maybe her lack of popularity was causing her to feel depressed. I don't even want to speculate about what caused her to be depressed. God, it makes me depressed just thinking about it. But, yeah, something's fucked up there, right? Like, what the hell's going on? For someone who's just about to commit suicide, why would you start a huge brand new YouTube channel and start promoting it? Doesn't make any sense. Now, what we could say is that maybe some sort of horrible thing happened to her in her life, her personal life. Her family doesn't want to disclose it. Don't blame him for that. So that could be what it is. Maybe a week, or maybe it was just even the day before she died. Some horrible fucking occurrence happened and she took it out on herself. So I don't know, but... Alright, so let's bring up her Facebook page. This is the one that really fucking hit home for me. Alright, so she just posted this on January 6th. She's saying, let's make it bigger so we can read it. Sorry, I'm not in a joking mood today. Alright, so my name is Red now. New year, new me, new channel. YouTube's channel, that is. Lol. I did my first YouTube vlog and it captured this entire transformation, start to finish. Visit my YouTube page at the link below and watch my latest videos and subscribe. Or drop a like, whatever. So what an amazing woman. So much going for her. She even just like started a whole bunch of new stuff. She's celebrating the new year. Now, someone could argue that, hey, maybe she is really suicidal at this point and she's pretending. Sort of like Robin Williams, like some of the most depressed people you'd never guess, right? So, oh God. So yeah, it could be just that. All right, so we covered that one. Now, damn, man. Man, she is so hot. All right, anyways. Yeah, so here's some more pictures from Instagram. I hope there isn't any boobs showing. I don't think there is. Pretty damn close, though. Man, so sad, man. Fuck. Yeah, so, I don't know. Someone was saying her last post that she posted was the one that revealed that she was depressed. So let's read it. May this day bring you rest and peace. So she literally posted just before she died, very sadly, may this day bring you rest and peace. Almost like what she did was for others, right? The whole sacrifice symbology. May this day bring you rest and peace. Dear God, man. Now, I know the people that are raging conspiracy theorists will say that someone probably broke in and made her post this or whatever, but to me, it sounds, I don't know, it almost seems like it's part of the universe's programming. Yeah, Wicked News 8100s here. He says so many celebrity suicides lately. I actually haven't even heard of any other ones. Why? What other ones were there? I think, well, I did hear a lot of celebrity deaths, but I didn't hear any suicides recently, other than hers. Oh yeah, and she's also very religious. Oh man. Man, this is getting harder and harder to talk about. Alright, so if anyone wants to see, I guess we'll cover the last of the material. Oh yeah, Sinead O'Connor's kid. I don't think they're really a celebrity, but yeah, kid of a celebrity. Alright, so let's bring up the folder that explains what the hell's going on with the Orion stuff. Now, if anyone's wondering what the fuck I'm talking about, how the universe actually might be responsible for her death and not like a conspiracy or whatever, is I can't even say that C word too many times. YouTube can actually get your channel taken down just for saying the word. It's one of the words we're not allowed to say. So if I say the C word, it's not cunt. I mean conspiracy. Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing in today's episode. All right, so Michael Madsen's kid. Never heard of them either. I'm not very good with celebrities. It's like usually celebrities, I don't know. Well, I guess Sinead O'Connor, I know her because she's like an older celebrity. Any modern celebrities, unless they're like from the year 1990 or earlier, I haven't really heard of them. That's why it's kind of funny when I go to conventions and I see celebrities. They're always like, you don't know who I am? And it's like, I don't watch movies or TV. You could be in all the latest movies and all the latest TV shows. I have no idea who the hell you are. Never heard of you. But anyways, so we'll get to the Orion symbology. Now let's bring up one slide before we go, because I got a couple here. So if anyone's wondering, like, what the heck is this fucking sacrifice stuff all about, and how could her sacrifice during the year of sacrifice be part of the world, like the universe, the matrix? It's fucked up, but a lot of people don't know is yeah, where is it here? We'll bring it up. Now this is, I brought it up briefly on the show with the other guests, so we talked about ley lines, but here we go. You can see this yellow line here that goes through all of Mars's biggest volcanoes, except for that one. It goes through them. Guess what this line here is? You could kind of guess already, right? Volcanoes, sacrifice. What are the ancients known for? Sacrificing beautiful women into volcanoes. So anyways, this line here that goes through the volcanoes, if you take this exact ley line map, lay it on the Earth in the exact same orientation, guess what? This line going through here, it's the September 11th line, the one that she died on. So, like, basically Mexico would be down here, Stonehenge would be over here, and cutting across, this would be North America. And if people are wondering, it's like Google Earth will take maps that you make and overlap it onto other planets. So that's how I realized that when I drew the ley line map on the Earth, I switched it over to Mars just to see what it looked like. And my mind was blown when I seen the fucking volcanoes all lined up with it. And at the time when I first discovered this, I didn't even know about volcanoes and, well, I guess I knew about volcanoes and sacrifice, but I just never put it together, right? Like, I knew ley lines existed, I knew volcanoes and sacrifices existed, but I had no idea that the two connected to each other. So if people are looking back at this weird map about like the September 11th line, how come it lands on all these major cities, right? Like Mobile, Alabama, Atlanta, New York. What else do we say? Atlanta, New York. Oh yeah, Boston. I figured out the reason. At first I thought it was some big C word as to like Freemasons building cities on all the sacrifice lines so they could kill people. But then I realized, man, there's a lot of nice Freemasons, a lot of evil ones, so it's a little bit of a stretch to think that they would do such a thing. Not to mention logistically it would be pretty challenging to do. But that's when I realized that these lines are actually gravity well lines. They cut the edge of the continents. If you want to look at like how it cuts the edge of continents, I'll bring up the full one here so you can get a little quick look. So you can start to see that it feels like I got extra lines on here. No, that's the second. Anyways, so you can see how these lines definitely cut continents. They cut them there, cut the edges of them there. So that's when I started to realize that ley lines and gravity well lines are actually more than likely the same thing. I guess technically they could be something different, but you can see how these gravity well points also push land away. Sort of like how black holes, they don't suck things into them, but they do get things to orbit around them. Same thing with these gravity well points in the land. Now there is different layers to the map, and when you start to add other layers, you can see like other continents being cut very, very well. And we actually have two sets of ley lines. If anyone's wondering why the September 11th line doesn't match up exactly with the modern lines, I'll show you why. Where is it? September 11th ley line. Ancient lines, purple. All right, there we go. All right, so what I did is I started to draw the ancient ley line pattern. This is the one that the September 11th line actually lines up with. It'd be this black line. So you can see that the ancient ley line pattern, and let's bring up the modern one. I think the best one that matches it, I think, is the blue. Let's check that out. And which one should I put on? Let's go only one color for the ancient so we can see it better. All right, let's take out pink. All right, let's go black and blue. See if that looks good. Yeah, so you can start to see the pinpoints of where the orb points are different, but not by much. So what I was trying to do, maybe black isn't good. Let's check pink. Yeah, so what I started to realize is that the current ley line map that we have for today, going by today's measurements of where the equinox points are, the solstice points and all that jazz, it's actually different, but not by much. Like you can see, like a lot of these line patterns are just slightly off, right? Like look at that one. It's only slightly off. If anyone's wondering what this blue and pink line here is, this is the one that goes through the Great Pyramid of Egypt, through Angkor Wat, maybe a couple other places in there, and Nazca Lines, Easter Island. So that's that line. And you can see, let's put just how close of a line they are. Revelations of the Pyramid. So you can see this line and the blue line and the pink line deviate from each other in some spots, but in other spots they overlap. So I think it is the same line, but either my map is off or the Earth itself has changed slightly since one map and the other map were made. If I had to guess, I think the Earth's shape has slightly changed, or what some people argue is that the shape of Google Earth is off. It is more like a pear shape than a perfect globe, like the actual real Earth. So that's why it's a slightly off, is because we're drawing on a perfect globe. So that's how much it's off by in that. So I guess that could be the case. But just to give everyone a little background of why the ancient ley line map, like the September 11th line, is slightly different than that black line. Or the yellow line is slightly different than the black line. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's saying that it's buffering bad, eh? I don't think my family's watching the internet or anything. Could be just the content. I find, I don't know, I want to get too C-word-ish, but yeah, usually when you do controversial shows, there's a chance of it shutting down. So anyways, let's get back to more of the Orion stuff because we've covered so much and we didn't even cover the part that makes the most sense yet, so let's do that next. Now, if anyone's into like ancient languages and letters and stuff, you probably noticed, look at Russia's map. Yeah, I'll get to Russia soon. But yeah, Russia. I'll get to Russia in a second before I get too far ahead. All right, so let's clean up this map so we can bring back the September 11th line in there. Get rid of some of the clutter, because if you put too many layers on the map, it just doesn't look good. Hard to follow. Now this is actually some other red lines that the guest on my show was researching. I was telling him, I'm like, man, you should really like draw these lines all the way around the globe like I do, just to see how your map would look. I'd be interested to see how it turned out. I haven't contacted him to see if he bothered doing that yet or not, but probably not. Alright, so there we got the September 11th line. We'll leave that on the screen. Now we'll get to the Orion part. Oh man, this Orion stuff is so weird too. Alright, where to begin with it? Alright, let's cover the metal ox part, because that is a big part of what's happening. So when people are wondering, like, why the hell do I keep saying that the Chinese, like, Year of the Ox is referring to a sacrifice ritual, especially the metal ox? Well, what it happens to be, like I was saying earlier, this symbology in the sky of Orion, it's a guy, the winter maker, Orion man, he reaches one hand to Anubis, or the dog that guides people in the afterlife, black dog, and the other hand reaches out and it grabs an ox. So a lot of times in symbology in ancient cultures, you'll see a lot of times that people are grabbing onto an ox or something. So that's where that grabbing the ox comes from. So yeah, and you can see how it was the basis for our letters. Like, this ritual is so important to the ancient people that our alphabet is literally designed to tell this story. Like, let's show it here. This journey from the seven sisters, or the seventh heaven, the Pleiades, cuts through the ox, and it goes all the way, I guess I should, I can't see because of me, it goes through Orion. And I never really realized it, because a lot of other cultures didn't show where this other hand was reaching too well to. But then the First Nations culture, they drew it connecting to the dog very clearly. So I was able to see, oh, it reaches to the dog, the black dog of the afterlife. So that's why the A, or alpha to omega. The ox was considered the A, so alpha, and then to omega. For some reason, the dog is called Omega. I haven't been able to figure that part out yet. I actually know a guy that's an Omega researcher. I'm going to try to get him on the show soon, because, yeah, I definitely like to learn more about Anubis and Omega. So you can see why in, like, different cultures. You know how some cultures, like English, we read left to right, and that seems normal. But then you go to other cultures, like China or something, and they actually start at the bottom, and they work their way up and left. So it's like the opposite direction that they read. And I was always wondering that. It's like, why do some cultures read this way and other cultures read that way? And then I realized that older cultures with like a deeper connection to where they originated from, they still read it the proper way, which is from right to left. And that's the way it works in the sky, from right to left. So that's why I started to realize why some cultures read in that direction, especially Chinese. So yeah, so you can start to see the symbology for the A. So basically, yeah, I don't know if that's the letter A in China. I don't even know, but in other cultures, that symbol is the A. Well, let's bring that slide up so people can get an idea what the hell I'm talking about. Here it is. So each culture, and then pretty much around the globe, started to realize that this ox sacrifice was one of the rituals that granted immortality. So, or the journey across the sky. So pro-Canaanites, they used to draw their letter A as just an ox head. And then the Phoenicians, they drew it sideways, took the ox horns and turned them that way, I guess. So then you can see, like, I think it was even the Slavic culture. They had a pretty good letter A as well. Let's check out a slide for the letter A. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was thinking too. We're looking at all these other ancient cultures, like what is it, the Polynesians on Easter Island. We're trying to crack how to read their language, we can look at the origins of language and what each animal symbolizes and stuff, and we can pretty much crack other languages that way now. I think this, like understanding the base of each letter, like Alf, like A-L-E-F, that means a horned beast, right? So that's where we get Alf or Alpha or A. Alpha to Omega, A to Z is what that translates to. So anyways, let's bring up the letter A's and how they've changed over the years. And so Bulgaria, someone was telling me that that isn't the letter A for Bulgaria, but a different letter. So, okay, whatever. But I don't know. I was thinking it was the letter A. And then we got the God Self, or A, in, the Mesopotamian. And then we got the Phoenician, how they put on the side. Yeah, and this is a Phoenician tablet. I know people's mind is blown that Phoenician culture and Egyptian is basically the same, especially because Phoenicians are redheaded people like Celts. So that is really weird. And then you have like the Egyptian mummies. Most of them were redheads when they dug them up. But yeah, so the idea that Phoenician and Egypt is similar in so many ways. Look at the letter A, and the Egyptians put it as a hawk. But then I started to realize, what is a hawk? It has a beak. And the beak is literally shaped like that A, right? So, and then I started to realize too, that ritual for the Orion man, sometimes cultures put a winged disc as the symbol for that ritual. So instead of putting the A for the ox, they'll put a bird to symbolize the wings of the winged disc. It's pretty fucked up, but yeah, so it's even in the Ojibwe, the Inca, the Aztec. So yeah, you get a lot of, oh yeah, here's the Slavic letter A, or upside down horns, the Alf. And it's weird too, if you look at the English Alf, or Alpha, the way his legs are shaped, like the V pattern in someone's legs, that actually matches the A shape. I never even realized it until now when you see that guy in the English hillside, it's like you get a better idea what the hell he's standing there, what he's holding on to. He's holding on to the same thing as King Tut, these rods on the side, or the snakes that descend from the winged serpent. But isn't it funny, like here we were talking about the connections between the Phoenicians and the Egyptians. When they did DNA studies, they found out something like 80% of people in England shared DNA with King Tut. So he's directly related to a lot of English people, and they were trying to figure out how the hell that happened. Well, now we're starting to see why, right? Like, there is definitely a culture connection across these. All right, so we covered that. Now let's get a little bit more into the First Nations one. Did we cover that already? I don't think we did. All right, so in a lot of cases, I didn't even realize this was all the same stuff, especially with Santeria. But with Santeria, as soon as I saw him holding the mask and comparing it to the native one, I started to realize why they put a mask instead of the horned beast. And it's a clue. I think J.J. Ainsworth kind of pointed me in the direction of this clue inadvertently. I don't think she did on purpose, or maybe she did. But when it comes to the Aztecs, they didn't do the horned beast part of the ritual. Normally cultures will substitute out what you're sacrificing. Some people do a bull, some people do an ox. Guess what the Aztecs substituted it with? They substituted the sacrifice with a human head. So that's why the Aztecs were so into the sacrifice thing and heads, holding on to them like that. They were doing this same ritual, the Orion ritual. So you notice the Orion ritual, it's based on 3 belt stars, and it's a sacrifice ritual. Remember Mars? Let's bring that up again. Where have we seen this pattern of 3 things and sacrifice? Dun-dun-dun. We got the same symbology repeating. The 3 sacrifice stars, the 3 volcanoes on Mars, the 3 pillars or 3 doors of Freemasons. I think, who is it? Who is that guy's name again? I haven't seen him on social media for so long. I can't remember his name now, but Yeah, this guy that did some work with Adept Initiates kind of fell apart because of a couple of drinking issues, I guess. But anyways, he was sharing some information about the triptych, and if anyone knows his name, put it in the chat. Famous Freemason guy. Anyways, he writes about the triptych and the three doors of Freemasonry and trying to connect it to stuff. So that's where I started to realize these three star patterns in sacrifice. You ever hear that like the heavens are above us, but they're also within us? As if it's like a pattern that keeps repeating on different levels. So here we have the levels of it repeating in the sky. And then we have it repeating on the planet. I wouldn't be surprised if a part of us, if anyone knows what it is, we probably have three main things inside of us too. I don't even know what, but if anyone does. Is the serpent mound on the line? Okay, let's get caught up with the viewer chat because we got a whole bunch here and I'm way behind. Alright, so still not caught up about patron Oswald's wife and David Spade's sister. Was there a red scarf? I haven't heard about that one yet either. I'll have to check it out. It's buffering like mad. It's never done this. Yeah, well, I shouldn't be too C-word. It actually does do this sometimes. I'll get like a week or two where it acts up and then it goes back to normal. So I don't know if it's my like internet service provider upgrading the servers or something. So that could be it too. Or if my roommates use the internet for streaming. If they're streaming at the same time I'm trying to upload, it's not good. But I don't think anyone's streaming. And oh yeah, I did have other internet issues today. So it actually might be the server. Alright, so... Alright, Rusty Valor, thumbs up. Better that NATO map. NATO map is fake. NATO map. I'm trying to think, what is the NATO map? Have I checked it out? I can picture the, what is that? The United Nations flag? I know that one. That's like the flat earth flag. Anyways, so cool. Our world is upside down. I'm Taurus in America. Go figure. Rusty Valor's a Taurus. Yeah, go figure. So you're skeptical of the zodiacs. I heard that most Tauruses are skeptical of that. Or maybe you're not. You're the exception. Bizarro world. All right. Yeah, Paleo Hebrew letters have encyclic meanings. Yeah, I started to realize that it's not just Hebrew. It's like every language. Almost every language's letters trace back to some sort of occult meaning. It's fucked up. I guess that's how they talk about like the word and how it can create things and all that. It's like, it's very weird. All right, is the serpent mound on a line? All right, so there is a few serpent mounds. We'll check them out. And we got so many different line patterns. I'm sure one of them will line up. All right, so Ohio serpent mound. We actually have a serpent mound close to where I live in Canada as well, but we'll check out the one in Ohio for now. And to be fair, there actually is like hundreds of serpent mounds, I think, throughout, or not serpent mounds, but actual mounds throughout Ohio. All right, so there's the serpent mound. And we'll bring up, yeah, it is pretty close to that sacrifice line. Oh yeah, and I was going to clarify too. The main reason this line, I don't think was built by the Freemasons, like putting all the cities on it intentionally. You know why? Is not only does it divide the continents, these gravity well lines, but look where it's dividing. It's like literally cutting in where the continent splits, and it actually follows the river. And it follows the river, and it follows the river again, and it follows the river again. So that's why I realized, like in the ancient times, where did people build cities? They built them next to drinking water. Where are you going to get drinking water? Rivers and shit, right? So that's the main reason why, I think, not the C word, but a lot of these buildings are all landing on major cities, or all the major cities are landing on the line because that's where the water is. All right, so let's bring up the other line so that we can check out what we got. I'll put up the modern map and see, and then we'll put up the ancient one. We'll check it after. So we got blue, we got yellow, and I usually never bother with the red, but we could bring up red just for interest sake. So it's very close to where the X marks the spot with the red line. Yeah, this is a spot where, like, what is it? Is this rivers that are meeting here? Yeah. Columbus, falls on that one. Detroit falls on it. Lansing. Alright, so not exactly on the line, but let's bring up the old map and see how close it gets there. No, so not directly on it either on this one either. I was going to say if it divided in half. Because technically when you make these maps, you can make another layer just by cutting it in half. And then cutting it in half. Cutting it in half. That's how the formula works. So I was thinking if it landed right halfway, then you could draw another line right on it. But no, it is slightly off. Alright, let's go with the Ontario Serpent Mound. See if we can find that. I think, yeah, this is the one. Yeah, so there's our... Holy fuck, is that another one? Now, I'm not sure exactly where the Serpent Mound is in Canada. Yeah, I guess it's around there. That would make sense. Now, if anyone's wondering, when I was talking about Ottawa being on the sacrifice line, you can see why. This line right here, if anyone was watching the other episode, look where this falls on. Where is it? Fuck, let's just bring it up. Oh, there it is. You can see it now. See what it's going through? That giant clock tower, the Peace Tower. So that's why, like, when they were doing the protest for Canada, I think the camera was about here and it was looking this direction and all the people gathered around here. So that's the Peace Tower for the Canadian one. And if anyone's wondering what the US obelisks are, well, we got our next Canadian obelisk. The other obelisk it goes through is, some people may have heard of it. It goes through the CN Tower. So the CN Tower and the Peace Tower are our two obelisks in Canada. If anyone knows about any other obelisks in Canada, they could let us know. Actually, the First Nations people built an obelisk on Manitoulin Island, which is funny because I talked to a lot of Native people and a few of them were telling me, oh, totem poles aren't built anywhere except for the West Coast. But then I looked up the history and no, that isn't true. There's actually totem poles that were built on Manitoulin Island as well. And I think one of them was on the line, but I don't know where the totem was erected. I've asked a few of the Native people and they won't tell me where the totem was erected. I think it's part of the secrets they're supposed to keep. So maybe one day I'll find out where the totem is on this island or where the remains of it are. I don't know how much of it is left. Actually, part of the legend is that the totem on the island was destroyed when they stopped worshiping it. Lightning struck it and destroyed it on the very day that they were supposed to worship it and didn't. So they kind of took that as a sign that, yeah, they should have kept worshiping it. All right, so yeah, and the last obelisk for the USA, I forgot to mention, where is it? It would be in Washington. Where's Washington on here? Ah, there we are. So probably everyone knows this one. This one's the Washington Monument, that giant obelisk. So when you ever see an obelisk, it's kind of weird, because the obelisk is supposed to be a representation of some Egyptian's god's private part, like his dick getting cut off. So that's what this giant obelisk is for. Which is kind of funny because the Washington, D.C., I don't know if anyone watches the Wizards basketball team. Their logo is literally a cock right on the fucking middle of the court. It's hilarious. But anyways, I wonder how many of the players know that. I'm sure most of them do. But anyways, yeah, so that's the Washington Monument. Oh yeah, and if anyone hasn't seen it, you know how this, I should show it too. Or can I show it? Let's try. Alright, let's go. Okay. C word, I'm not allowed to. No, it's under Freemasons. There it is. So if anyone hasn't seen the master plan layout, which I find is kind of funny, because when you interview, like Freemasons have done interviews, and they talk about how the Washington Monument is part of like this giant pentagram, but they want to clarify that the eye in the pyramid has nothing to do with this layout and pentagram. So I was like, okay, that's weird of them to say that. Let's check to see if what they're saying is even true. So I drew out the whole thing, and what do you know? Not only is the pentagram actually inside of a pyramid, but when it comes to the eye of the pyramid, it turns out it's the House of the Temple, or Freemason headquarters. So not only were they full of shit, but they were epically full of shit. Or maybe I should say that Freemason just didn't know, because a lot of Freemasons, they get into the cult or religion or craft, whatever you want to call it, and they don't know all of it, right? Like, they don't know. Freemason knows all Freemason secrets. I don't even think Albert Pike knew it all, and he was writing the books about it. So anyways, the leftists, they came and they attacked the Albert Pike statue. I'm pretty sure they've destroyed it already. But the White House, Kennedy Center, a bunch of other parts made up this giant layout of DC. So that's pretty fucked up that like this type of symbology and geometry is being built into our very capital. But so maybe it isn't too much of a stretch to say that the Freemasons actually did want to put some of our biggest cities right on lines of sacrifice, because they knew all about it. But oh yeah, I should just clarify too. I started to realize why Freemasons and other people likely all have this map already, the ley line map. Let's show you why. So if you haven't heard, one of the pyramids in Mexico happens to get like a staircase that makes a serpent pattern going down the side of the stairs on the equinox. And I started to think about it. I was like, what the fuck, man? How did these ancient people do this, right? They would have to know the exact equinox points on certain times of the day, certain times of the year, and they would have to have a map that shows them where the equinox is and when, and where to build if you want shadows to line up. And then I started to realize, what is that map? It's this, the gravity well map. And why do I know that? Because each one of these lines is the solstice and equinox points. So if I wanted to build one of these pyramid effects, I'd have to go and look at this map and say, hey, I should put it here because the solstice or equinox shadow is going to line up here on this date. So it's like, that's the map. You need this one. So I was like, whoever built this had this. That's fucked up, eh? And I was thinking it was kind of funny too, that these patterns on the steps that they created are sort of like these little triangle outlines to make like a slithering serpent. And that's actually how the lines cut the continent. They actually cut it in those weird triangle patterns too, right? So it's a little bit of a weird thing. But yeah, I was just going to say, to build a pyramid with the shadow on the steps of the equinox, you have to know when and where on a special line. This line makes up a larger part of a solstice equinox pattern. Drawn complete, it maps out the shape of our continents. So yeah, we're starting to actually crack the code of not only how the ancients built pyramids and why and for what, but we're also seeing that this type of technology is involved in creating not only pyramids, but if you wanted to terraform planets. So I find that very interesting as well. It's like we're actually getting to the point where we're unlocking the technology that was likely used to create our Earth and even us. Which is kind of fucked up when you think about it, but... Alright, so let's get into the finishing the sacrifice material. Because, yeah, we'll answer some more viewer questions, and I'll just cover this quick. Finishing quick is my specialty. Alright, now I'll try not to make too many jokes, because today is a fucking serious episode. Alright, let's go with the Orion Tower again. So, I don't know, I'll ask the viewers question by the end here and see what everyone else thinks, because I don't even know what to think of it myself. Alright, so there we go again. we got the Orion condominium located roughly or almost identically on the sacrifice line of Orion, the Orion sacrifice ritual line. She died on the Orion Tower. Her last public appearance was the Miss Universe contest. Miss Universe, Orion. We're starting to see some repeating themes here, right? All right. Okay, so yeah, some of the viewers wanted to see Russia. And that reminds me, there's actually a website in Kazakhstan, and I found out that Kazakhstan copied my entire YouTube page and posted it for people in Kazakhstan to watch. So thank you to any of my viewers that have posted it there. I know some people were upset that their YouTube pages got sent to Kazakhstan, but I don't mind. I'm not one of those people that freaks out about copyright protection and all that shit. People want to share my shit, go right ahead. I try to ask people to do it like classy, not make a complete ass out of me, but I'm pretty sure I do that on my own well enough. Alright, so anyways, let's check out Russia. Oh yeah, here I'm looking at England. Oh yeah, you probably wanted to see the lions on Russia. That's what it is. All right, so let's go. What's my favorite line in Russia? Do I have it on here? I actually got one line that I really like in Russia. Here it is, excuse me. All right, so this is a weird line. And I'll show you why. Now, when I was researching the lines, I noticed like right away that Easter Island was a pretty big node point, right? Like it's where a lot of the lines meet up on the ancient map. So I filled in the rest of the map, and then I was like, fuck man, these Easter Island statues, they kind of remind me of an island that we have in Canada. It's called Flower Pot Island. And I think the legend goes that these flower pots were actually giants that got turned to stone. Similar legend to what we find here in Easter Island, except these guys that were turned to stone are actually much more better detail. So then I checked and I found out that not only is it on the same ley line as Canada and Easter Island, but there's one in Russia on the same ley line. And guess what they have? They have a history of the giants being turned into these stone pillars as well. So I was like, what the fuck? All three places have these giant stone pillars that are apparently giants, and they're all on the same line? Like, what the fuck is the odds of that, right? I don't even know how many other places on the globe are like this. Imagine there's only 3 and they're all on the same line. That'd be funny. So anyways, if anyone wants to see where that is. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the island that has the statues here, I actually diverted this line recently. So it doesn't line up exactly anymore. I didn't even realize that. But anyways, the line used to, depending which calculations you put in, will bring you to Flower Pot Island. And which is Flower Pot Island? There it is. So this is the island that has all those giant stone statues, Flower Pot Island. And have I been there? No. But have I seen it before with my own eyes? Actually, yes. How I did it is I went on a trip here and I looked across and I could even see the statue. It was very tiny in the horizon, but I could just so make it out. So I actually have seen them before, but I haven't been to the island. And if anyone wants to see the video, it's in my travel vlog. It was called like Ontario or Canada's Best Beach. Kevin brings up a good point. There is some stories about how the giants were, when they solidified to rock, had something to do with the Great Flood. And that reminds me, I think I have heard of something like that before. Was it in the Noah movie? I can't remember. Or maybe just from the Bible. So anyways, if you take that line and it goes through Easter Island, it eventually goes through the Russia one as well. Now the Russia one is like out in the middle of nowhere, so I really don't even know whereabouts. I think I mapped it before, but I don't know where it is right now. But they said that it's so far away from any cities, you actually have to fly in like a helicopter and they drop you off. I don't even think there's an airport. Yeah, so this spot in Russia that's got those weird stone giants, it's also on that same line. No, I think what happened with this line is I was trying to fix this map. And when I was fixing this map, I moved it slightly over so that it would line up properly. But now it's not landing on Flower Pot Island. So I might end up just switching it back. Yeah, because this one should be like... Where is Birch Island? Birch Island. Strawberry Island. Ah, here it is, Birch Island. Oh, so it is very close to that one too. So anyways, the giant totem is supposed to be near here somewhere, I'm assuming, because the Dreamer's Rock, where the creator actually spoke, or Shawanasawi, one of the prophets, spoke to the creator. And thanks for the Indian or First Nations people sharing that history. Sorry, I'm part of the generation where we still used to call First Nations people Indians. Back in my day. Alright, so yeah, that's some of the other stuff for Russia. Let's show the Russia cities, because we got some people asking about it. Let's go yellow and blue. And let's see what cities all landed in Russia. I always thought it was kind of neat that there was kind of like a Russia, or not Russia, a European line. Now, where is the one? Ah, here is Ukraine. I was thinking there was a line that goes through Kiev, I believe. Where was it again? I should know my Ukrainian history or geography a little better. Half my family is from Ukraine. Now, I was hoping the city names would be popping up by now, but for some reason they're just not wanting to show up on the map. Oh, they're there. Warsaw, that's one of the ones, but that's Poland. Minsk. I was just watching some videos about Minsk. Oh, there it is, Moscow. So, not directly on the line, but Kiev lines up. My favorite way to look at Europe is actually to turn the continent on its side, because it actually looks better that way on the map. Where is it? So if anyone's wondering why the Bay of Biscay is where it is in France, it's the gravity wells to disperse the land in that spot. Bologna. Phony Bologna. Bremen, Copenhagen, Bordeaux, London. Well, London really shouldn't count because that was part of the reason why they put the line there in the first place. Naples, Budapest, Warsaw, Strasbourg, almost on Dresden. Oh yeah, and then in Bulgaria it lines up almost with Sofia. Now, I won't get too much into the ley line map itself today because I don't want this episode to drag on forever. What are we? Oh, fuck, we went over the hour mark already. I was going to try to keep it under an hour. So, okay, well, we won't get too much more into the map. Let's just go back to the viewer stuff. Yeah, Genesis does speak about the giants. That's right. Hey, just me. How's it going? All right, let's get back to reading the user comments. Go figure, Bizarro World, Canadian Capricorn here, Paleo Hebrew, we got all that. Serpent Mound, Fractal Repeat. Oh, the Fibonacci sequence. Yeah, that's true. No, there is a lot of sacred geometry to the entire universe and how everything's created, like the golden ratio and stuff like that. So, yeah, I guess all these patterns really are just like another... Like, if you look at it, it is pretty like a geometric type pattern, right? Like, I don't know if it's part of like the Fibonacci sequence or what people are saying. Oh yeah, and then I forgot to mention one of the most important slides. Why the hell does sacrifice, like the topic of today's show said, what the hell does sacrifice have to do with the universe, and how can I prove that the sacrifice is actually helping keep the universe functioning properly? Almost like a matrix. Instead of running off electricity, it runs off fucking sacrifice. And why do I believe that? Sadly, I found some information to prove it. Alright, you can see here, this orb point here, where the yellow and blue lines, this is an important orb point. Why? It's actually the eye of a giant that was murdered or killed, apparently by the First Nations people. They were ordered to cut off a giant's head and tie it to the tail of Turtle Island. So if people, like, thanks again to Jacob, he shares the information on this. If you type in Jacob and the Turtle Island creation story, you should be able to find it on YouTube. Yeah, big shout out to him for sharing this. But anyways, so if you look at the planet, turns out North America is a giant turtle. People are thinking it's a bit ridiculous. We'll cover it in a little bit more detail. And it turns out the turtle is the most common animal known, but in like Aztec culture or Chinese culture, a bunch of different cultures, Hindu, they used to talk about not only a world turtle, but they also talked about the world elephant. So I was like, what the fuck? Even Jacob was like, is the elephant's head from the world elephant the giant that was decapitated and tied to the tail? So let's check it out. Well, I'll bring back up the maps and look at this. So it's like, does this look like an elephant's head at all to you? And I was thinking at first glance, it really doesn't look like too much like an elephant's head. But look what happens when I take an image of an elephant and lay it next to it. Let's do it. Image files. The elephant. The world elephant. So we get a picture of an elephant and put it next to it. Now you can see that the head of the elephant actually matches the shape near identically. And then if you take the trunk, look at an elephant's trunk. How it ends in like this little mouth or like V. Look how the end of this ends. Goes all the way down, ends down here. What do you got? That shape of the V again. Like, what are the fucking odds of that, right? So people could say, oh, sacrifice. It's not how the universe is made. It's not powering the universe. Fucking bullshit it ain't. Like, look at this. When you put the lines on. Let's bring it up. Where is it? Here it is. Blue. Yellow. Look where the eye is. The eye of the elephant, if you moved them over to overlap, it would line up right with this. You know what's part of the legend? Here, let's go over the legend. Jacob was the one telling me about this on YouTube, if anyone wants to check it out. The world elephant. Oh, fuck, man. Can't even see it because I'm blocking it. Alright, let's make me disappear for a sec. See that turtle and how it lines up with North America? And then check out here. If you reattach South America to where it was cut off from like Pangea splitting, it actually connects right to make another elephant. You know what's the really fucked up part about this elephant? People joke and they're like, oh, this world elephant, that's just a coincidence that looks like that. And most people don't realize that if you wrap like, what is it? If you wrap this continent down around, it actually cuts right into Africa. And they actually went and looked at the mountain chains and lined them up. So this mountain chain that connects where it is here, it actually connects the mountain chains. So the idea that this is where here used to be, it's not a far-fetched idea. It's actually confirmed by mountains and stuff. So anyways, the more confirmation this is true, if this really was an elephant, can we find evidence to prove it? Like say, take an elephant and think about his properties. What makes an elephant? He's got his trunk, he's got his legs, he's got his ass over in like Asia. You can see this theory is definitely not going to be very popular in Asia. I'll show you why. Japan is literally the elephant's ass. Not to make fun of Japan or anything. But anyways, what are the parts that make up an elephant? His neck. So the legend says that where the neck was severed from the giant, it bled out warm water. And what temperature is the water that's constantly flowing out of the Mediterranean? Guess what? It's hot water. So this water is flowing out just like the elephant's blood from his neck, still to this day. So isn't that sad? If it actually was an elephant, that was his neck and it's bleeding. So here we have more evidence why this pageant person died. The universe is literally powered by sacrifice, or at least our planet is. Who knows how much of the other universe is. But anyways, so that's not the only part of the elephant that confirms this. What's another organ on the elephant? Got his trunk, his head, his neck, his legs. Just like the obelisk, we got his ding-dong, his dick, right? So where is the elephant's dick on this picture on the map? Can anyone guess? Turns out it's near India. And guess what they did in India? They drew a circle around India and tried to like, how big of a radius can they make this circle? It turns out the majority of the entire world's population is all located right on the elephant's cock. So isn't that weird? Reproductive organ, and it just happens to be where all of the people are. Now, people will argue and be like, oh, there's people in other parts of the world. But I'm talking about the most dense, highly populated, like 90% of the people all in one area, right on the elephant's cock. So not to make a joke out of it, I know this is a very somber episode talking about sacrifice here, but isn't that fucked up coincidence? Like literally, if his reproductive organ was anywhere else on this map, it just wouldn't be loaded with people, right? It just so happened it landed right on the spot where it's most people. So I don't know, that's a really weird coincidence. And yeah, and as I was saying before, this story about the world elephant and the turtle, it's not just the First Nations people, it's the Hindu, the Chinese, and the indigenous people of the Americas. Oh yeah, that's right. Thanks, Steadfast. Yeah, I hope Colin is feeling better today. Actually, I think I seen him on video gaming today, so I'm pretty sure he is okay. No, to be fair, like I don't want to make fun of even the World Health Organization and stuff, but every person that I know who got this and then got the virus got hit hard by the virus. And then every person I know who didn't take this and actually got the virus recovered and said it was the most mildest thing they've ever had. And they were shocked that it was even the virus when they went and got tested. So I don't know why that's happening. Maybe it's just in my friend circle that that's happening. I know CNN says the exact opposite, but God, man, yeah, so I hope he's okay. Praying for Colin too. Praying for this girl's family and her friends. Oh, God. All right, so let's finish reading the other viewers' questions. So if anyone wants to get the background of why I'm a strong believer in this whole sacrifice and universe connection, it's because of the fucking animals that were sacrificed to create our universe. And giants, apparently. Now, even the Sumerian text talks about this, how like Tiamat, the giant that represented the ocean. Everyone's history seems to talk about how giants are so connected to people. And somehow we've lost that connection over the years. So anyways, let's finish the actual eye. Remember how we talked about how the elephant on the Mediterranean side, blood is still flowing out of his neck because he got his head severed? Guess what? The elephant's crying. You know how I can prove it? Let's take a look. If you zoom in on the elephant's eye, guess what it is? Roughly the origin or the major fractal point where it splits the rivers happens to be the Amazon River. So you literally have the giant Amazon River starting where his eye is and dripping down in the same direction as if this actually was a head, and it drips down all the way into the ocean. So literally the elephant is still crying. That is so fucked up, right? Now, people could say it's just a coincidence. Part of me thinks, God, it has to be a coincidence. But another part of me is like, really? Is all of this coincidence? It's fucking ridiculous if it is, but oh God. So yeah, I guess we'll have to start wrapping up the show soon because I don't want to go forever here. And then again, I'm praying for Cheslie Kryst's family and friends, not to make fun of her death. I know it's fucking horribly tragic, and not to make fun of suicide either. Fucking suicide's a horrible tragedy as well. But just so everyone knows, she died on the last day, or second last day, I still have to look it up. Last or second last day of the year of sacrifice for the Orion ritual, and she died on the Orion sacrifice line, and she apparently jumped from the Orion condominium after doing the Miss Galaxy contest. Now, isn't that fucked, putting all that shit together? Now, obviously, hopefully this is all coincidences and there wasn't some horrible crime that occurred that made her jump. If I had to guess, I would say this type of suicide and sacrifice and everything is so built into how our universe works that people don't actually have to push someone off the building. The universe itself instigated it to happen. I know it's a kind of a fucked up theory, and maybe the murder crime would make more sense, but to me, I think she really did commit suicide, and it's just connected to how the universe works. I really don't think it was a murder, although that whole thing, when we looked over the episode today, like, we seen all of her social media pages. She was super happy. She was planning for the future. She had just released a whole bunch of stuff, and she was talking about how more updates were coming soon. And that weird cryptic message on her social media was talking about sacrifice. So I'm like, holy fuck, man. I don't want to make fun of her dying, and I feel bad for even talking about it. I know if her family and friends watch this, they probably hate my guts, but I can't not tell people. Because, man, it just seems so fucked up not to tell anyone. I don't know, one of these days I'm going to have to learn to shut up. Fuck. Princeton, Newark, Philly, Trenton, Washington. God, it's amazing. Charlottesville, Bedford, Atlanta, Newnan, Greenville, and Mobile, Alabama. I don't know why I start talking a weird accent every time I say Alabama. Alabama. All right, so let's finish. Oh shit, we still got lots more to read here. All right, I know of a certain amount. I live in Indian Angel Mounds. Oh wow, no kidding. Yeah, hopefully you can take some more pictures and share them in the Discord. That'd be sick. If you see anything neat. I found the ledger. It's black bound book with an upside down triangle. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, maybe? Oh yeah, the other trilogy, or the triptych. I also land, that thing of the 3 stars in Orion's belt. I also land on the last day, April 21st. April 21st. I was thinking April 20. Why am I thinking April 21st? All right, Angel Mounds. Check out Angel Mounds where you're at. All right, so I'll check that out. I'll copy Angel Mounds, and we'll put it into and check it out. All right, Newburgh, India. Just Me says hi. Hey, Just Me. Yep, by sloughs off main waterways. It was the shopping market. You can get fish and get turtle. You can get frog. If you're really good at it, you can get slate. Now you can make an arrowhead. Red hits me exactly. Oh, no kidding. Ohio. Now, I have been to Ohio before. All right, so sorry, I skipped way ahead, or at least this skipped way ahead. All right, there we go. It was the shopping market, red hit. All right. Yeah, I've been to Ohio once when I went to Cedar Point. Cedar Point, the amusement park in Ohio. They got Millennium Force, and I went there the year they opened. So I guess, shit, man, that's been like 20 some years ago. You know what always blew my mind when I went to Ohio? I was at Cedar Point, and it was while the park was opening, because we got there before it even opened. They played the U.S. national anthem, and everyone at the park literally stopped what they were doing and took off their hats to salute the national anthem. And my mind was blown, because in Canada, you're lucky if you can even get people to stand, let alone salute or take their hat off. So I was surprised at how patriotic the U.S. is compared to where I live in Canada. Very drastically different. All right, so red hits me exactly, little pigeon. Yeah, your lines don't hit me much, but I was always taught we're on a major fault line. You know, I've started to research fault lines, and you know what I've noticed? When I research fault lines, I can find like 50 different fault line maps that all claim to be the fault line map, but each one is different. So it really makes me wonder, it's like, do scientists really know where the fault lines are? Or they know where some of them are? I think that's more accurate, right? Like, I highly doubt that the scientists know where every fault line is. Which I found funny about the fault line thing too, is they say that every river that exists actually has like a mini fault line under it, and that's what creates rivers to begin with. So that's kind of interesting there. I don't know how true that is, but... Oh, the Masons follow the light bringer, the bringer of truth. Yeah, it's an interesting point that you bring up. Actually, my background, how I got into all this weird stuff, is I actually had a strange encounter with light beings when I was about 10 years old. And it was outside with another friend of mine, and we encountered them. And my whole life, I really got obsessed with like researching the light beings to try to figure out what the fuck they are, right? So what happened is I found out the name, or what was it? Yeah, I found out the name of the light beings in like the ancient Sumerian times, or like the Vedic, or not, well, I guess kind of Vedic, the other half of the Vedic, the, what is it called? Not Vedic, but goes Vedic, fuck, now I can't even think of it. But anyways, yeah, so now I totally lost my train of thought there. Oh well, I'll try to get back on it later. Let's read more comments, maybe they'll remind me. Oh yeah, the light bringer. So yeah, the comment reminded me right away. So yeah, we had that weird encounter with the light beings. I found out they were called the Amesha Spenta by researching a lot of ancient texts. And when I typed in Amesha Spenta, or the light beings, to see who was the world's leading expert writing about them, guess who it was? Albert Pike. So I was like, fuck man, who's this Albert Pike guy? I think I've heard of him before, but I can't picture where. So I looked up Albert Pike's name. I'm like, hey, who's this Albert Pike guy? So anyone who knows Freemasonry, I wasn't very familiar with it, so I had no idea. But yeah, it turns out that, let's see if we got it here. Turns out Albert Pike happens to be the guy that wrote the handbook for Freemasonry. Show a picture of him. So when it comes to like all the old, well not all the oldest, but all of the semi-oldest, because you got really old Freemasonry, and then you've got like semi-modern, where it was like the first Americans that were here or whatever. So anyways, this guy, Albert Pike, he wrote the book on Freemasonry, and fuck man, I don't even have it in there. Now I got another slide, so I'll show you it. So it turns out Albert Pike, he happened to be the guy that wrote the book talking about the secret meaning of Freemasonry. And he said it's Ahura Mazda. And now we know Ahura Mazda is that winged disc symbol. And that winged disc symbol is actually representing the sacrifice ritual associated to the 3 stars of Orion. So now I got a better idea when it came to the light beings and Freemasons, where they're getting all this stuff from. They got it from Albert Pike. Now the main question is, how the hell did Albert Pike find out about the light beings and the Amesha Spenta? I think the only way he could have is if he had access to a really old library, which sounds so weird, right? If he's in the new America, how the fuck was he at an old library? So the only thing I was thinking is maybe other Freemasons had already collected a huge library. They shared it with them, and then when he was reading it, that's how he found out. Or, yeah, I guess the other one. He was reading the other books, like the Hindu Bibles and the Vedic and... God, I just had it on the finger of my fingertips and I forgot. The other half of the Vedic stuff. Why do I keep forgetting the other half name? There's Vedic and... Oh yeah, then there's the Ahura Mazda people. What are they called? Oh yeah, Zoroastrians. So the Zoroastrian religion, it's the other half of the Vedic stuff. It was weird because, like, you know how our Bible, it's got like the Old Testament and New Testament and it's split in half? Well, for some reason in the old days, there was another book that was like the Hindu book and the Zoroastrian religion, and it was one or two different books of the same religion that actually opposed each other. The Vedics angels were the demons of the other, and the demons of the other are the angels. So they have like a lot of reverse psychology stuff. So that's pretty fucked up. I don't know, I can't remember where I was going with that, but yeah. Cincinnati, Dr. G, Cincinnati Bengals go to the Super Bowl. It's a ritual. Russian world map. NASA is fake. It's digitally filled in. Yeah. My favorite saying for NASA is never a straight answer. There's literally never a straight answer that comes out of NASA's mouth. And if people are wondering what the fuck I'm talking about, nearly everything that NASA said is like some sort of weird, twisted version of the truth. Like, in recent times, we found out that almost everything NASA told us about Venus was actually the opposite of the truth. For instance, in the old days, NASA, even if you ask NASA today, I think about half of the scientists aren't even up to speed. They don't even know the latest discoveries. So it turns out Venus isn't a boiling hot planet. It is hot on some spots, like the equator and shit like that, but a large chunk of Venus is actually frozen solid, colder than anywhere on the Earth. So this idea that NASA was telling us for decades that NASA or that Venus is a boiling hot planet, totally bullshit. Either they fucked it up or they were just fully lying out of their fucking faces. So anyways, the other thing they talked about was how there's no life on Venus. But then it turned out we did scans on the atmosphere and we found out that Venus is loaded with life. It's got all the gases that come from only living creatures that breathe or whatever. So they know that there's life on Venus now. Now they're debating what type of life, if it's like plant life or insect life or what type of life it is. But we actually know now that Venus has life. Why NASA isn't broadcasting this on every TV station? Who the fuck knows, right? It goes with the idea that they've been lying about Venus for so long that maybe they just don't want to admit that they were wrong the whole time. Oh, and the other thing is the pressure. Did you ever hear NASA talk about how the pressure on Venus will crush anything? That's why no life is there. That's why we can't go there. That's why we can't build bases there. Well, it turns out that isn't true either. The Venus does have areas of the planet that have crushing pressure, but it also has mountain chains. And some of these mountain chains go so high up that the pressure is actually similar to Earth. So here we go. It's not too hot, pressure won't crush you, and there is life. So you can start to see why NASA is never telling us a straight answer. Either they're doing it by accident because they're just fucking up and they make a lot of mistakes, or they're just lying their faces off, or they have some other reason why they can't tell the truth. And I think there is a demonic element to space, so that's another reason why we haven't gone back to the moon yet. I know it's fucked up, but... Alright, so let's see. I heard that they have bodies, they're just buried up to their head. Is that true? Yeah, the Easter Island statues do have bodies. I've seen some pictures where they actually dug them up, and it's not just their head. They actually have a full body. They're just buried that high. I don't know if that's for every statue, but for a lot of them. Oh yeah, and someone, I think it was JJ, she was pointing out that the art that they find on the bottom of the Easter Island statues is the same artwork they find on Göbekli Tepe, that place in Turkey. So why that's the same, they can't explain it, but it's pretty easy to explain, I guess. It's all the same ancient pagan culture. All right. I heard, oh, the Great Flood has to be in the Kryst that solidified the giants. Yeah, we covered that. Yeah, that's another thing, is the world changing shape due to the rotation. That's, fuck man, I've got a whole show based on the rotation information that I found recently. And it's talking about how the ley line map isn't just about the solstices, but it also relates to the spin of the globe. So I was like, yeah, there's like not only the one spin, but then there's also that wobble spin or whatever. So yeah, there is a bunch of that connects. I can't get into too much of it now, but I'll try to do a whole episode soon. All right, Genesis speaks about the giants, about books of the gods, and that's how we know it's true. My grandpa is Hungarian. Oh, awesome. The best cabbage rolls. Yeah, you're so lucky. My Ukrainian family makes some pretty good cabbage rolls too. But we used to always have to have the vegetarian cabbage rolls for Christmas. I fucking hated that. I like them better when we put meat in them. Yeah. I did have my one Hungarian friend, Gabor. He used to live just down the street from me. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever heard of someone with the same name. So I don't know, is Gabor a popular name in Hungary? Do you know? Gabor. I think it was Gabor. Pretty sure that's how he spelt it. Yeah, frequency. Frequency and these shapes of these patterns. We're definitely going to talk more about that when we get the Electric Universe guest on. He should be coming on the show soon. He's trying to get some pictures ready, and we haven't had the greatest luck doing that, but hopefully soon. Oh, and then Rusty Valor says, don't worry about my writing, I'm actually drunk. So that's okay. I usually drink quite a bit, but today I just started my month of sobriety, and God, it hasn't been easy. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be hitting the bottle and weed tomorrow because I have a fucking nightmare work shift coming. But maybe after that, I'll be able to start doing better sobriety. Geometry is the universal language. Yeah, that's for sure. Angel Mounds of Ohio. Yeah, check it out. I'll check that out. Oh yeah, let's type that in now before I forget. Okay, it says it got Angel Mounds. There we go. Oh yeah, that's kind of neat. You know, I get the feeling that my city, where I live now, used to have like a lot of different native like burial grounds and stuff, because a few of the places that, like companies that are cursed, they ended up building on like native burial grounds in where I live in my city. And guess who ended up buying those factories that were cursed? Google. So Google now has buildings that are built on Indian burial grounds and that are cursed. So I always found that kind of interesting. Good old Google. Try not to be evil, but damn. Now, I shouldn't make too fun of Google. They are my boss, and a lot of my friends actually work for Google. And we got a giant Google head office right down the street from my house, next to a virus lab. So world state-of-the-art virus lab that works closely with China. Google's head office right across the street. But anyways, all we know is that the Earth is flat, carried on the back of the giant turtle. It slowly crawls across the universe in the Old Mountain's pouch. Ah, is that part of the First Nations tales too? I don't even know. No, when it comes to the flat Earth theory, to be fair, I think there is a lot of interesting information in that material, but I'm not really convinced it means that the Earth is actually flat. But I think when they're referring to that, I should go to the world tree. So let's bring up the world tree. I don't know if anyone's seen the world tree, and if you happen to notice it when I was showing it, the different map parts. But let's do it. Let's take off the September 11th line and we'll cover the flat earth or the world tree talk of like the ancient times. Alright, so let's do it. Let's go. Oh wait, I don't have it there. So let's do it. Yellow, blue. See, what happened was when I was drawing these maps, was it because the blue was gone? Anyways, when I was drawing the map, I came across, let's see, where is it? Where is the map picture? Here it is, the sacred tree. So it turns out this sacred tree pattern from like the ancient pagans, the Norse, or whoever you want to ask, even the Hebrews had a slightly different version. Anyways, this sacred tree symbology is actually in here. So let's see if we can find it. Oh, there it is. So you can make out the cube, right? There's the perimeter of the cube. And obviously all these lines don't match up with this cube identically, but damn close. So this is where I was starting to think that the flat earth or like the world tree technology, we're actually starting to catch up to it. Like we used to laugh at the world tree for decades or centuries, mocking the ancient people, be like, ha ha ha, a world tree, ha ha ha. And then we look at the gravity well field. What do you know? It makes up a world tree. So good work, ancient people. You told us, right? God, I gotta stop laughing so much. This is supposed to be a serious show. Fuck. All right, so we covered that. Let's get back to more questions. First animals, Discworld, it cries. Banshees turn into things, stone in Irish mythology. Yeah, the Irish mythology, dear God, man. When you start cracking the book open on that one. Like, fuck, man. Like, I probably already have. I think I'll do another one. We'll do more information videos about Irish mythology. Oh, hopefully we can get Peter Coyle back on the show. He likes talking about that shit. He's one of the actors from Vikings. He was actually on my podcast a few years ago, but hoping to get him back soon. He actually wants to come back. I'm just a real slacker. Usually I get too high and drunk all the time to get shit done properly, but I'm trying to be more sober. All right, so Rusty says, dang it, I forgot about the elephant. Yeah, that elephant, fuck, man, that's crazy. Oh my God. Steadfast said she got handcuffed tonight and thrown in a cruiser. Covered in bruises? Oh my God. That's horrible news. Well, I guess you're home now and I hope you're doing all right. God, man, that sucks. What happened? Well, I guess we don't have time to call. I'll talk to you about it later, but man, oh man, that's crazy. Now, it's been a while since I've been in the back of a cruiser. Not since I was a teenager or anything. Now, I did get pulled over recently, and it was quite the experience, but no, luckily I didn't get arrested. Lucky you. Lucky you. No smoking. Yeah, for me, I don't know, man. Like, quitting weed is pretty difficult to do because I get horrible withdrawal because I do extreme weed where I'm like into like high concentrates and super potent stuff, so it fucks up my body like hardcore when I quit. Obviously, it's not as bad as morphine or withdrawal or Demerol or something, but it's definitely no walk in the park. I usually get horrible fucking migraines for like weeks, and I can't sleep. All right, out. New phone, who this? Ah, fuck. Oh, you want to know about Discord? All right, so let's get the Discord link. Sorry, sometimes I forget to share the Discord. Fuck, man. Oh, there it is. So I'll get the Discord link and I'll share it in the chat. No, it's kind of good that we do a longer show today because I'm going to be gone for a long time. Like, we got like fucking feet and a huge snowstorm coming. I'm literally going to be shoveling snow like every day for like a week solid, 12 hours a day. So I probably won't be back for quite a while. All right, so let's Allegedly. Yeah, everything about this episode is allegedly. Just want to clarify that. All right, I got to stop shaking my leg. I'm trying to get some exercise because I've been sitting too long. All right, yeah, they took me to the hospital. Doc said nothing wrong with me. Even the cops think something is. Wow, what the fuck, eh? Why would they think something's wrong with you? Jesus. I don't know. To be honest, I've never actually met cops up north yet, so I don't know what they're like. I think I saw a cruiser a couple times, but usually just OPP. I don't think I actually saw regular cops, even though I went by the police station a few times. Also made of cartilage. Ah. Yeah, I did see Ali or Khan in the Discord group today. See if he's in right now. Yeah, he's playing Destiny 2. Well, he's in sleep mode. So I don't know what that means, but yeah, he was playing Destiny 2. You learn new things, yeah. Angel Mound. The doctor gave you a Seroquel? Not sure if I want to take it. I'm not even sure what that is. Is that like an antidepressant or something? I don't know. I've seen mixed results with antidepressants. Some people I know that take them, they get better. And then other people I know that take them get much, much worse. So it's like, it's kind of like every medication, right? There's some good, some bad. All right, so Wicked News 8100 says she was born in Jackson, Michigan. Just one odd Discord. How you do that? Trinity, India. Ohio River runs a long way. Yeah, sure does. We call Indiana the heartland. Huh, good point. Tectonic plates, but yeah. Hey, Love Face, how's it going? Keep your clothes on. There, 4D, I believe. But hey, I'm crazy. Hey, aren't we all crazy at some points? All right, and script for 10 more. I have an old ledger. Ayurvedic. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Guess I'm grandfathered in, if you will. Oh, Naked HD or Love Face is waiting for me. You're going to have to wait longer, ladies. I got no time. If you're coming to visit me, well, maybe we can make time. Couldn't find the KKAK card guess, but the fire got it. Just my history. Don't blame me, the sins of my fathers. Yeah, it's hard not to blame people for the sins of their fathers, but damn, does it ever happen a lot. NASA's fake. Look at the world from Russia, satellites, and then look at NASA. You can tell which one's true. Yeah, I think NASA, they run into problems a lot. So much of what they tell people, it's like, God, man, what the hell are they thinking? But anyways, which reminds me about NASA. They were making the prediction that Betelgeuse was going to go supernova this year. Does anyone know why the occultists and NASA were thinking Betelgeuse was going to go supernova? Let's give an explanation of why. I think the NASA scientists say they think the reason why is because they looked at the star and it got brighter or something, or darker, I can't remember which. But either one, they said that the star changed. So that's why they think it's going to go supernova any day now. And apparently when it goes supernova, it's going to glow so bright that it's going to be bigger than the moon in the night sky. So I don't know how true that is, if it actually happened. But scientists were trying to say that it was actually going to happen in our lifetime, which it didn't. It hasn't happened yet, and I highly doubt it will. But no. So what the occultists, they know about this Betelgeuse. Let's take a look at Betelgeuse. Does anyone know what star is Betelgeuse? I'll show you in a second. All right, where is it? Betelgeuse. No, Beetlejuice was a popular cartoon when I was a kid, and a movie. I always wondered what the fuck they were talking about. I'm like, what the hell is Beetlejuice? Alright, so let's take a look. Where is Beetlejuice? Beetlejuice. Ah, here we are. So it just so happens that Betelgeuse star that they anticipated going supernova in the year of sacrifice happens to be part of the Orion Man, part of the sacrifice ritual. So what I was thinking is the occultists, they wanted to do sacrifices. Why? Because they thought that the sacrifice was actually going to create something to happen in the universe. Kind of like when the ancient people threw a model into a volcano, or a super hot chick into a volcano, and they thought it was to keep the universe functioning properly. This whole idea that the universe functions on sacrifice. So I think, or allegedly, what the occultists were trying to do, they were trying to do occult rituals and do sacrifices to create Betelgeuse and to make it go supernova. So I guess their plan failed, right? So I was thinking that's the only thing I can think of is why we get this connection of why they thought Betelgeuse was going to go supernova during the year of sacrifice to Orion. Imagine it did. That would have been such a weird coincidence too. But luckily it didn't. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter if it did or not. I don't know how the supernova would actually affect the Earth. I don't think it would much, being so far away, but... All right, let's get back to finishing. Finishing quick, my specialty. I heard they did some kind of seance when they landed on the moon. They planned their landing site and everything. Do ley lines affect the moon at all? Do you know? Oh, God. Oh, what I wouldn't love to do an episode on that. Actually, I've been dying to do an episode on the moon ley lines for a long time. But I'm trying to find a guest to get on the show with it. Because I don't really like doing too many of these episodes without a guest. It kind of sucks just talking to myself. So, yeah, it's kind of a show that I'm waiting to do. But, oh, yeah, there's definitely a lot of the moon shit going on. All right, well, let's not to like totally keep people in the dark. Let's give a quick little look at the moon stuff. All right, so what happened is NASA, again, released some information about some new high-resolution images of one of the planets, or what was it, one of the moons of Jupiter. And they showed how this moon in Jupiter had like a circle with 3 lines splitting out from it, and then a giant crater above it. And I was like, what the fuck? I've seen this pattern before. So I looked at our moon on the Earth. What do you know? We got that same orb with 3 giant lines splitting out of it, and the same giant crater off to the above it. So we're starting to see that not only are these ley line patterns shaping the Earth, but they shape moons. And not only do they shape moons, but a lot of them get shaped very similarly. It's fucked up, eh? So yeah, when I get into the moon show, I've actually met Buzz Aldrin, like stood right next to him, and I found out that he's demonically possessed. So I was like, holy fuck, man, how the hell did Buzz Aldrin get a demon possessing him? Not just any demon, but like one of the strongest demons I've ever sensed. Like the only demon that I've sensed equal strength to the one that Buzz Aldrin has, it's the one that controls Mike Tyson. I actually met Mike Tyson and Buzz Aldrin, and that's when I realized that I could sense demons. I don't know if other people might actually be able to sense demons, and you probably don't know it because you've never stood next to a really powerful demon. But for me, when I stand next to a really powerful demon, what happens is every single hair, even the little tiny peach fuzz on the top of my head, the hairs on my arms, the hairs on my thick back. No, I keep it trimmed, ladies, don't worry, or shaved. But anyways, yeah, every single hair on my whole body just went whoosh. You know how when a cat gets spooked and their tail just goes whoosh? That's what happens to me when I stand next to a demon. I don't know why. I never even realized it until I stood next to them, but Oh yeah, when you stand next to one and you can sense them, whew, is it ever a wild experience. So my guess what happened with the moon is Buzz Aldrin went, did the seance you're talking about, because he's a high-level Freemason, he knows all about that shit. And when they did that seance, he got possessed. And when he came back to the Earth, guess what? I think NASA, as much as we'd like to think of them as idiots, I'm pretty sure they realized something was drastically wrong with Buzz when he got back. And they did all their quarantine tests and everything. They couldn't find out what the hell was wrong with them. But they knew something wasn't right. And then even like other people said too, like Buzz was a pretty good guy, but after he came back from the moon, he became like a raging alcoholic and like very religious. So I was like, holy fuck, right? Like some of that demon possession stuff, you don't want to fuck with it. But anyways, yeah, I'll get more into the NASA and the moon stuff on another episode. But yeah, I think that's why we didn't go back to the moon. I think that's why the pandemic happened when it did. Trump announced that he's going back to the moon, starting a new moon race. That fucking same week the pandemic started. And the pandemic set the moon program back about a year, but we're still only about 3 years away from the moon with people. So when I was at Toronto talking to Buzz, or when he was doing a speech talking to everyone, he told everyone that the main reason he wants to go back really bad to the moon is like he really has to go back. And he wouldn't say why. And it was like he was extremely disappointed that NASA wasn't taking any people back to the moon. And then that's when I realized Ancient Legends, they talk about it all the time. When they had too many demons on the earth, where did they banish them? To the moon. And they were stuck on the moon on one condition, as long as no person went and came back. What happened to Buzz? He went to the moon and came back. So I think what happened is the moon is literally filled with demons. NASA realized this and they're like, holy fuck, man. How are we going to tell people that the moon is filled with demons? We can't go back because the demons will come back. We can't tell them. They'll think we're crazier than we already are. Than they already think we are. So anyways, yeah, that's the fucked up part of the moon. I don't know what's going to happen when we actually get back. I think what Buzz is doing, like his demon, he's trying to play it cool and not blow the cards, like not give their hand away. They got to get back to the Earth. They got to get as many people to go to the moon and back to the Earth as they can, or else they're stuck on the moon. So what's going to happen when we go back? Well, only time will tell. Yeah, can you imagine like the space TV shows we're going to be watching in the future? NASA is going to be landing astronauts, and then these astronauts are going to get possessed. And then how are they going to react when they get possessed? It's anyone's guess, right? We see how Mike Tyson went being possessed with the God of War. Like he even openly tells people that he's possessed by the God of War. Nobody believes him. I was like, fuck man, unless you can sense demons. Anyone who can sense demons, they're not arguing with Mike. They know he's telling the truth. All right, so the moon, we covered that. Steadfast. Equinox, vernal is significant. Yeah. All right. I'm not trying to be evil. I'm just so damn good at it. Now, I get that problem all the time. As much as I make fun of Google for being evil, aren't we all? At least a little. We all have an evil side. All right, so looks like we got someone from Slavic Letters tuned in. Thanks for tuning in. They typed in Vorong. I don't know what that means. That's to don't. All right, so Steadfast said she was yelling in the street, offering Grandpa's meals for sale. I was mad the Legion didn't cement them in the Centopath when they refurbished the Centopath. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but I think I know what you're talking about. It was brighter. Rusty Valor says he's having trouble figuring out Discord. Yeah, don't worry, man. I know, I had the same issues. It's like, fuck, man, I'm like close to my mid-40s now, and man, I cannot grasp technology to save my life. I'm asking my nephew how to use most cell phone apps. But yeah, Technology is definitely not my strong suit anymore. I used to be really good at it, but as soon as like cell phone shit started, yeah, it's definitely left me in the dust. Oh yeah, that's another thing I was going to comment. If anyone's watching this episode and they're good at drawing with Google Earth, fuck, please contact me. I will pay you to help redraw this map, but draw it properly. Like, I'm not really good at drawing on Google Earth, so when I drew this, it took me like 2 years, about 80 hours a week. I actually had a concussion at the time, so I was already off work for concussion rehab. That's how I managed to do 2 years of 80 hours a week working on this map. You can imagine how long it would fucking take to draw each one of these lines, especially when you're fucking adding in the red layer. No, and some people have kind of brought it up. Like, some people, when they get bad concussions, they learn how to play the piano. Some people get a bad concussion and they'll learn how to like paint artwork or something. Or Mike Tyson, when he got his concussion, he learned how to speak better. Apparently, he used to speak even worse. So yeah, when I had my concussion, I started working on gravity well lines. Why? I have no idea. Well, I think why is probably because I was having so many people that I knew writing about them all the time that it sort of piqued my interest. All right, so we'll just give a... I think we covered everything, yeah. So we better wrap this up, or we're close to 2 hours. Fuck, we made it over 2 hour mark. All right, so let's summarize what today's episode was about. Sorry it was such a somber topic today. Sorry to her family and friends. I know everyone's praying. It's a tragedy. And just like to clarify, if anyone goes on a massive C-word binge saying that she was murdered or something, I'm more leaning towards the idea that it's true and that sadly it was a suicide, even though a lot of the stuff doesn't line up. Like, I find it so strange that she was all over social media telling people about her plans for the future, starting new projects like YouTube and stuff, taking pictures of herself and sharing them. It's a very fucked up situation. Just because, like, I've met people that have committed suicide and I've known them very well, and I know a lot of the traits of someone who's going to commit suicide. That's why when I see people that are emitting those traits, I don't even hide it anymore. I'm like, you know what? You really need to cheer up and you need to like get your act together before you start getting any more depressed than you already are. Because yeah, every once in a while I meet someone exhibiting those same signs and it's really sad. So yeah, very sad to hear that she passed, and passed right on the line of sacrifice, passed on the last day of the Orion sacrifice ritual, and she passed by jumping from the Orion building that happens to be on the sacrifice line that imitates the Orion constellation. So I think I said Orion way too many times, but yeah, that's the summary of today's episode. And yeah, there's shitloads more information about the gravity wells, the ley lines, how it interacts with different space and planets. So if anyone wants to come on the show and just talk about it sometime, let me know. And maybe we could do that space episode together. Yeah, I said Beetlejuice too many times. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Wasn't he had to say it 3 times for some reason? Can't remember why. It's been so long since I watched the cartoon. I just remembered that Beetlejuice was this weird demon creature, and he had like snakes coming out of his head or something, now that I remember it, which kind of reminds me of the snakes with the Orion ritual. Never even thought of that. Alright, so Steadfast says she thinks the cop wanted to charge me for my cigarettes because they're from the reserve, but they are duty paid, so I can't be in trouble for having them off reserve. Yeah, that's always a weird subject, right? Because in Canada, I don't know if anyone, maybe the revs situation is the same in the States, but in Canada, we have really high taxes. Like our liberal government, or you can't even just blame them. It's the conservative and the liberal government just go on crazy spending sprees. And they've ran up Canada's tax debt ridiculously. So we're reaching the point where we're almost paying all of our income into tax. So yeah, that really sucks. But the natives, I'm not sure the details of how it works. Sounds like racism to me. Like really, if your skin is a certain color, then you don't have to pay tax. But anyways, how it works in Canada, First Nations people can sell gas and cigarettes way cheaper because something to do with the tax. I'm not sure how exactly it works. I think, yeah, Steadfast was talking about like duty being paid or something. So yeah, it's a weird situation. Like you literally go to a reservation or a res and they got lineups of people buying gas and cigarettes. That's how much cheaper it is. And then what they do, it's weird because I've heard First Nations people complain about the OPP only busting them. And I was like, oh, no. When it comes to the OPP busting people, they're definitely not just focusing on the natives. They actually have like entire checkpoints just outside of the native reserves. So when people buy the cigarettes or they buy the gas, they drive past the OPP. The OPP pulls them over, busts them for the cigarettes, busts them for the gas, and they take away their vehicle as part of the punishment. So if you're driving like a brand new like $100,000 or $60,000 Tesla car or something, and you get caught with those cigarettes, the OPP will confiscate your vehicle and not give it back, and they'll charge you on top of it. So this idea that OPP are only targeting natives, no. They're also targeting white people, well, people in general. Anyone who's off the reserve is also getting busted. But what it is sometimes they'll let it slide if it's like a smaller amount. So I think they said if you buy a certain amount of cigarettes, they'll let it go. But if you buy like a whole truck full of cigarettes, you're definitely getting your vehicle impounded. It's a pretty rough situation. All right, so I was just reading some more things here. Some people get back concussions and they can see colors or smell numbers. Yeah, it's funny as that sounds, I've actually heard about that. When I had my concussion, guess what happened? It was so bad, I lost my sense of smell for like over a year. And I didn't even know it was gone. You know how I found out? It's like I went to a chiropractor and I heard like from Sidney Crosby's stories that if you go to a chiropractor with a really bad concussion, sometimes they can actually help speed up the recovery process. And if you ask like rehab or something, they're like, no. But Sidney Crosby was swearing it helped him recover. So I'm like, fuck it, man. I've tried rehab for like a year, still not better. So I'm going to go try the chiropractor. So I went and tried the chiropractor. He did a few adjustments and I didn't really feel too much. My back actually felt a little better. But most of the impact from my concussion was when I broke my neck. And I don't think I actually got like, technically I didn't officially break my neck, but I never had an x-ray and I felt my neck break. And I told the hospital that and they wouldn't believe me. So I was like, okay, can you do an x-ray? And they denied me. In Canada, you have to beg for healthcare because it's free. And if the doctor doesn't want to help you, you can just say no and you're fucked. Can't pay for it. So I'm like, oh, fuck, my neck's broken. I can't even get an x-ray. So anyways, after like a year or so, my neck actually started to feel like the break part of it was healing. And it wasn't like snapping out of place in like really weird ways anymore. But so I'm like, hey, let's go to the chiropractor, see what happens when he snaps my neck. So the chiropractor came and he did that like big neck snap. And as soon as he did, all of a sudden I could smell food cooking. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, is someone like cooking lunch? And he's like, no. He's like, that's actually breakfast that's been cooking. And it's been cooking the whole day. You didn't smell it when you came in the office? And I'm like, no, I just smelt it now. And he's like, oh, you lost your sense of smell. You just got it back. And I was like, holy fuck, I didn't even know that was a concussion thing. So for like a year and a half, I didn't even know I had no sense of smell. I kept going around and I was like, supper doesn't smell very good today. Or I couldn't smell weed, or I couldn't smell tobacco. And I didn't even realize. I thought it was just faint. I was like, oh, maybe the tobacco is just smelling a little faint today. Or maybe the cooking that's going on right next to me, it's just a little faint, and that's why I can't smell it. I never realized it was me. I couldn't even fucking smell anything. So yeah, that idea that you can lose your sense of smell from concussions, definitely. Which makes me wonder about the virus, right? Is the virus doing something similar to how concussions take away your sense of smell? I don't even think scientists knows that yet. All right, so when I was running away from him, I dropped and lost my bank card. I think I will take the Seroquel, knock me out. I'm feeling upset because of the bruises from the stupid cop. Yeah, I'd be upset too. God, I have a horrible temper. I'd probably be smashing stuff. But yeah, I feel bad for you. That's awful. But just try to remember too, at least you're not hurt bad enough that you lost your teeth or something serious. Well, something that can't heal. God, how many times cops punch someone in the face and then they lose all their teeth? God, that'd be a nightmare. Right, so anyways, do you know if there was a red scarf? I'm not familiar with the red scarf thing. I'll have to look into that again. My mom hit her head once and could smell colors for a little bit. Yeah, that weird color thing, eh? Is Justin hiding in my basement? No. No, it's funny. I could tell some funny stories about Justin, but I won't get into too many details today. Maybe in the future. No, I actually know someone that's related to him. So they were telling me some of the stories about what it was like growing up with Justin and his family and stuff. It's kind of funny. Not a good start for the Lunar New Year. You know, that's the thing. Like, as much as I was thinking the Year of Tiger was good, I don't know if anyone else checked into it, but I was reading more about the Year of Tiger, and they said Year of Tiger is one of those ones that it can be adventurous, but the tiger apparently destroys all evil. So they said that destroyer aspect is a big part of Tiger Year. So they said in a lot of Tiger Years, you see massive amounts of destruction. So I was like, oh shit. I didn't even realize that was part of the Year of the Tiger as well. All right, so you learn something new every day. You got a concussion, you can see ley lines, yeah. Well, I can't see I can see how to calculate ley lines, I guess. You got a concussion, you can see the ley lines. You forgot free healthcare, how long was that line? My dog farted, I smell it. No, sadly in Canada, we actually coined the term, hallway medicine, because in a lot of cases, Canadians are dying. They come to the hospital for healthcare, and they literally die in the hallway waiting to see a doctor. In my city, for instance, some days you could go to the hospital, and there'll be a 24-hour wait period to get seen by a doctor in the emergency room. So you're literally surrounded by people dying all around you, and you have a 24-hour wait until there's a doctor. And why is this happening in Canada? Because in Canada, doctors and nurses, they get paid like 10 times the amount as a Canadian one. So normally, if you have a doctor or a nurse that stays in Canada, they're not good at their job. Because if they were, they'd be going to the States, and they'd be getting paid 10 times more. So not to make fun of all the doctors and nurses in Canada, I'm sure some good ones actually stayed, but the vast majority of good doctors and nurses, they get the hell out of Canada's healthcare system the first chance they get, and they never come back. Shouldn't make fun of it, but yeah, it's a fucking nightmare. Now, to be fair, say you're dying of like a heart problem and you need a heart transplant, and if you're in the States, it would cost like millions of dollars or whatever. That's where Canada would save you, because there'll be a doctor in Canada who's not making much money, and he'll be like, holy shit, heart surgery? Now I can cash in. So in Canada, you'll get the heart surgery that you normally wouldn't, because the doctors are actually trying to make money, because they're fucked in Canada. They can't make as much as they would in the States. Steadfast says she farted in the cop car and told him I pooped and he would have to clean it. Oh. No, we gotta try to be nice to cops. I know it's not easy every time, especially when cops are like bullies and stuff, but no, the majority of cops, we're so lucky in Canada, are actually good. Like when you look at other countries, like half the cops are rapists and they're like raping people every day. So it's like when we look at what Canada's cops are doing, sure, it's pretty bad, but at least we're not getting raped every day, right? So we got to try to be somewhat thankful for the police we have, even though they're not like perfect cops or by any means, but at least we're lucky that we have Canadian cops. I don't know. I've heard a lot of stories about cops that are mean to natives in the States. I don't know how true that is. I know in Canada we get a lot of talk about that, but to be fair, a lot of the times the natives reserves do have a lot of crime going on, so I'm sure it's going to seem like the cops are targeting them just because like there is a lot of crime going on. But yeah. No, not to pick on the natives either. Like, oh, dear God, if it wasn't for the natives, I wouldn't have even 10% of the information I do. And the information I got from them pretty much changed my life for the better. Or, I guess, for the worse in some cases. But, yeah, I definitely owe the natives big time. Oh, God, man. It's so sad looking at her face and thinking she's died. Man, oh, man. Right, so anyways, yeah, so I guess we'll wrap this up. Yeah, I try to back the cops as much as I can because I know they got a hard job. And I try to think, man, if I was a cop, there's no way I could do it. It's so hard of a job. And that anyone would even try to do it, I'm like, dear God, man, that person's fucking way more fucking resourceful than I am. Steadfast said she had a cop lick her foot one time in the drunk tank. Yeah, maybe the cops up north are a whole different story. I don't know. I've been lucky in the last time I actually got pulled over by a cop. I guess we should tell the story since we're talking about cops getting pulled over. Fuck, man, I was going over to my brother's place, and he asked me to pick up a package from his house because he was in Toronto. And he's like, shit, man, I got a package on my front porch. Could you go and pick it up at my house before, like, porch pirates steal it? So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll go over to your house, pick up the package. I'll just bike over and put it in my backpack. So I bike over to his house, pick up the package, and guess what happened? Fucking package is like massive. So I'm like, holy fuck, I can't fit this in my backpack. How the hell am I going to bike home now with this package? So what did I do? I picked up the package, put it in one arm, got on my bike with the other, and I'm trying to bike down the street with this fucking giant box, right? So right away I'm thinking, oh God, this isn't good. If a cop sees me, he's totally going to pull me over, right? So what happens is I'm biking, and I get to a stop sign, and I had hard time stopping because I was only having one hand on the brake. And I put the brake on, and I was like, oh fuck, the brake isn't strong enough. And I'm like doing a rolling stop. So it's like I almost stopped, like somewhat stopped, and then went. And then the cop was like right there. So I'm like, oh fuck, I just ran a stop sign by accident. And there's like literally a cop right here. So I keep biking and I keep biking. And the cop like does a U-E and then pulls up behind me, puts on the flashers, and like pulls me over. So I'm like, oh fuck, I'm getting pulled over on a bike. It's like I haven't actually been pulled over by a cop since I was like 16. So it's been like, I don't know, like fuck, over 20 years. So anyways, the cop gets out of his car and he's like, sir, do you know why I pulled you over? And I'm like, was it the box? I'm like, this giant box has to be the box, right? And then he's like, no, I didn't pull you over for the box. I'm like, you didn't pull me over for the box. I'm like, well, what did you pull me over for? And I was thinking maybe the stop sign. And then he's like, I pulled you over because you don't have your light on your bike. I'm like, what? I don't have a light on my bike. I'm like, it's right here. You can see it. I'm like pointing into the light on the bike. And he's like, but it's not on. And I'm like, but it's daytime, right? I don't turn the light on my bike during the day, right? So he starts yelling at me over and over about how I should have a working light on my bike. And I'm telling him, it's just turned off, man. I can turn it on. You can't see the light because it's daytime. It's like it's a bike light. It's not like super bright. It's just like a tail light. So I'm like trying to explain to him, you can't see it because it's daytime. I'm like, if you wait till it gets dark, I could turn it on and then you'll see that it is a bike light. So anyways, the cop's yelling at me about not having the light. And then he's like, oh, and I got to run that package to make sure that you didn't steal it. I'm like, okay, so it was about the package. So anyways, he looks at the label and he's like, this name on the package doesn't match your name. He's like, is this your package? And I'm like, no, this is not my package. He's like, what? This isn't your package? So why did you take it? I'm like, it's because it's my brother's package and I had to go pick it up for him. He's out of town, right? And then he's like, really? Are you telling me the truth? So then he looks at the package again. He's like, wait a minute. This isn't your brother's name on the package. And I'm like, oh, fuck. It's not my brother's name on the package. It's his boyfriend's name on the package. And it's like his brother or his boyfriend is from China. So I'm like, okay. The name on the package is actually my brother's boyfriend, and he's from China. So then the cop looks at me and he's like, what? He's like, your brother's boyfriend from China? And I was like, yes. And he's like, give me your brother's phone number. He's like, I want to call him and make sure that this is all true, right? So what happens is I give him my brother's phone number, and I think I gave him like some more information about me. So he goes over to his computer on his cop car, and he runs it all through the computer. He's like making phone calls, and then he's like looking really disturbed. And he comes back to me and he's like, sorry, sir. He's like, I ran all this information and it checked out. You can have the package back and take it to your brother. I'm like, oh, thank God. I thought for sure I was going in the back of the cop car. He was so pissed. He totally thought I was just lying my face off. And it was just a really weird story, but it was all true. Oh, yeah, and the other funniest part I found too is when the cop was like leaving, I said, see you later, man. And then I forgot. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm talking to a cop. And I was like, seemed so strange. Because when I was a teenager getting pulled over by cops were always the adult, right? And I was the kid. And then when I got pulled over like recently, the cop that pulled me over was like barely in his early 20s. So I was like, holy fuck, man, I'm like double the age of this cop. So it almost felt like now I'm the adult and the kid is arresting me. It was such a weird opposite, but yeah. No, so I try to be nice to cops too. Like I know like a lot of my family is actually retired RCMP, so I have to somewhat be nice to cops even if I didn't like them. You're free, white, and 21. You're good. Try it today, the same thing, and you'll get arrested for smoking a cigarette. You're on the wrong side of the road. No, I was thinking after the cop let me go, I didn't even get back on the bike. I was like, fuck this, man. I'm just carrying the package the rest of the way. I'm just going to walk it. Yeah, I should have kept biking with the box, but man, it was just too risky. Holy shit, we made it up to 6 likes. All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. He got the water hose and everything to clean the car, but there was nothing. No, I think cops really are stuck in between a rock and a hard place, right? Like, they got a hard job. They got to try to be nice at some point, but they have to also be firm. It's a fucking hard job, man. I don't know how the hell anyone can do it. Especially in Toronto, man. Can you imagine being a cop in Toronto? Like, literally, every time you go to work, there's a chance someone's going to try to shoot you. It's like every shift, someone's going to try to shoot you. So it's like, can you imagine going into work and you're like, holy fuck, man, I might get shot today. Man, that would suck. Anyways, now speaking of shitty things, yeah, it really sucks that this woman had to die. And yeah, and if anyone's going through that same like suicidal tendencies, make sure to call the suicide hotlines, try to talk to people about it. I've gone through extreme bouts of depression. Thankfully, nothing as bad as the suicide, but yeah, I found that just talking to a counselor made a world of difference. I don't even know why talking makes a world of difference, but I can verify it does. So it's really sad that she never got that opportunity to talk to someone and work her problems out before it got out of control. So yeah, just try to remember that, everyone. And yeah, hopefully her friends and family are able to recover. I know when my friend died of suicide, it took me over a year, or fuck man, over 10 years before I actually broke out of the depression. So yeah, praying for everyone that they can make it through faster than that. And just try to remember, like, even, it's a sad way to think about it, but man, we're all going to be dead sometime. And it's like, I know it sucks when some people die sooner than others, but we're all basically dead tomorrow when you look at the universal scale of things. Like, fuck, man, the universe is billions of years old. We only live 100 or less. Most people half that. So yeah, it sucks. We're all going to die, man. And it's going to happen a lot faster than people realize how fast time flies, right? So yeah. And just a shout out, if anyone knows like some of their families or friends or even strangers that look like they're going through like some of the things to look for. If people are selling all their possessions, they're not making plans for the future, they don't want to take photographs of themselves. What's another thing? Or people that are super like worried about letting others down. I don't know, it seems weird, eh? Like, why do people commit suicide? Because they feel guilty that they let other people down. It's like, man, just forget it if you let other people down. Just try to get on with your life. People make mistakes, right? Nobody's perfect. So who knows, maybe that's what happened to her, and she had some horrible mistake that she was ashamed of, and she couldn't live with herself anymore. Or if her family knows the reason, they don't want to disclose it. I'm totally okay with that. Like, it's definitely a private issue. So yeah, all right. So I'm not even going to go through all my sponsor stuff because I really don't feel right about doing it. If anyone does really want to donate money, try the suicide hotline or the crisis line or any other charities you can think of. I don't want to be making money off this episode. So, all right. So yeah, take care, everyone. And yeah, if anyone else has lost family and friends to suicide, or any other reasons, pandemic, lockdowns, whatever, yeah, just try to hang in there. As bad as the depression gets, even if it goes on for a decade, you'd be surprised. One day you can actually get over it. It's just going to take time. And who knows, maybe some people can't get over it, but a lot of people can. I know I thought 10 years of depression, never going to break free, but I managed to. And yeah, every once in a while I see myself going back down that road, and I try to steer clear of it before it even gets that bad. So yeah, if you see yourself going down that road and things aren't going so well, try to make changes before it gets to that point. Because dear God, like, man, if you're trying not to let other people down, you still got to try to do enough to keep yourself going, right? You can help others, but you got to make enough time to help yourself too. Oh, man. All right, so yeah. Yeah, so God bless everyone, and yeah, have a good week, and yeah, wish me luck for the snow shoveling. I'm probably going to be near close to death shoveling for the next week. It's going to be fucking intense workouts. So yeah, keep my fingers crossed, try to train, try to pace myself. I'll make it through it. And hopefully we'll be back doing some streams either by the end of the week. Let's see, what's today's date? Can't even see. When will I be back? So today's Wednesday, hopefully I'm back by the weekend. If I'm back by the weekend, hopefully I'll be done shoveling by then. Or who knows, maybe we'll be lucky and the storm will just miss us. But as far as it looks like now, I'm going to be shoveling like waist deep fucking slush. Each shovelful is going to weigh like 100 pounds, and I'm going to have like thousands of them to move. But it should be a good challenge. That's why I look at life. As much as life sucks a lot of times, and it's fucking like brutal, at least it's a fucking good challenge, right? You can't look at life and ever say it was easy, right? It's like a difficulty turned up to the max. All right, so I wanted to give the name, of the guy that was on my show. See if I can find it here quick. Because I talked all about his research, the September 11th ley line. Fucking damned if I can't fucking remember shit. All right, playlist. No, my memory still sucks. It's getting a little bit better since the concussion. I'm actually surprised. My memory still keeps getting a little better each year. And I always thought it would keep going in the opposite direction, so that's good. Here it is. View full place. Fuck, did I not even put it there? Oh, fuck, man. Oh, God, I erased it from there, too. Man, I got his name. Fucking, I had it on the episode, and now it's gone. Art Olivier, that's it. I think I said Oliver first because I'm horrible at pronouncing French. It's Olivier. So Art Olivier. If anyone wants to check out amazing information, September 11th sacrifice lines that can possibly connect to what happened here, definitely check out Art's page. If you type his name into YouTube, you should be able to find it. He was actually the politician that ran against Arnold Schwarzenegger in the governor of California election race. So yeah, I did have a politician on my show, but he's actually a really good guy. Now, I shouldn't make fun of politicians because I've met some bad politicians, but over the years I actually have met a couple good ones. So yeah, I think he's more leaning towards, was it the Libertarian? I think that's what he said. So yeah, I think that's the party he was running for. So if everyone wants to check out some good episodes, he's got a fucking amazing YouTube channel. I think it was called Operation Terror or something. I had the link to it and I fucking lost it, so I'll have to re-add it. Yeah, sorry, Art. Fucking had some YouTube changes and I had to change some of the descriptions and I accidentally changed yours. So I'll have to update it. Yeah, so Rusty Valor's got a good point here. We're all just an insect on the ass of the elephant, slowly walking through the space of the black turtle, carrying the flat earth in our back. Or maybe it's just Monday. Yeah, that's a good one. No, for people that make fun of the flat earth, we know so little about how even the entire universe works. For all we know, we could actually be on a simulation of an Earth, and the simulation is actually on a flat plane, and it simulates a globe. So we could actually have both, a globe and flat, for all we know. All right, anyways, so take care, everyone. Bye for now, and holy shit, was my beard ever huge in that episode? Jesus. All right, anyways, take care, everyone. Bye for now. See you later. I guess we will go to the fire screen. Let's at least do that. Right, if you happen to get any of the ley lines of sacrifice in your vaporizer, it tastes like shit, give the show a dislike. But if it doesn't happen, you can give the show a like and a share. Really appreciate it. Just make sure you never buy the products from my sponsor.
Because it will ruin your life. Bye for now, everyone.
Yeah, see you later, and God bless everyone. Hopefully we got a good year of the tiger coming up and it won't be so bad as the way the last year ended. Yeah, so happy Chinese New Year, everyone. See you later. Bye for now. Later. Yeah, thanks everyone in the chat. Let's see who we all had today. Holy fuck. We got Rusty Valor, Wicked News 8100. Wicked News, Rusty Valor, Justin, or Just Me. Wicked News, Rusty Valor. Oh yeah, we had Kevin join. Thanks again, Kevin. Yeah, make sure to sub if you haven't already. Wicked News 8100. Wicked News, Steadfast. Wicked News, Rusty Valor. Loveface, Naked HD. Steadfast. Me, Slavic Letters. Steadfast, Rusty Valor. Alright, and E. And if I forgot anyone else, sorry. I'll try to mention it next time. See you later. Bye for now. Later. Yeah, thanks, Steadfast. Hope you're feeling better soon. Alright, see you later. Bye for now, everyone. Hope everyone else doesn't get buried.